A dark highway, red and blue lights flashing in a rearview mirror. A decorated Navy commander standing tall in his white dress uniform obeys every rule of a routine traffic stop. Minutes later, he is face down on cold gravel. 50,000 volts burning through his body, fired by an officer drunk on power. But that small-town cop had no idea what he had just done. He had not arrested a man. He had declared war on the United States military, and the chain of command was about to snap. Highway 17 cut through the damp pine forests of coastal Virginia, dark and empty at midnight. The dashboard clock in the gray SUV read 11:42 p.m. Behind the wheel sat Commander Arthur Pendleton, a broad-shouldered black man in his late 30s, still dressed in his crisp white Navy uniform, the golden trident of a Navy SEAL gleaming on his chest. He was bone-tired after 3 days of briefings at the naval base. He wanted nothing more than to go home and kiss his sleeping wife. Then red and blue lights lit up his mirror. Arthur's pulse did not spike. Men who fast rope into hostile territory at night do not panic over traffic stops. He signaled calmly, pulled onto the gravel shoulder, and placed both hands on the wheel. Standard procedure. Nothing to hide. Behind him, Officer Gregory Tanner stepped out with an exaggerated swagger, flashlight in hand. Beside him, young Officer Liam Fitzpatrick, barely 6 months out of the academy, watched nervously. "Tinted windows at midnight," Tanner sneered. "Plates are clean, Greg," Fitzpatrick said. "No warrants." Tanner banged his flashlight against the window. Arthur rolled it down without flinching. "Evening, officer," he said, his voice deep and calm. Tanner shone the beam into his eyes, an old trick, then finally noticed the uniform, the ribbons, the trident. Instead of respect, something uglier stirred in him. "You in the military?" Tanner asked, condescension dripping from his voice. "Yes, officer. Commander, United States Navy." Arthur handed over his license and eyed, hands always visible. "Step out of the vehicle," Tanner ordered, unlatching his holster. There was no cause, no smell of alcohol, no swerving. Just a fragile ego meeting a man it could not intimidate. Arthur's jaw tightened, but he knew the world he lived in. A rank was no armor against a bullet on a dark road. "I am complying," Arthur said evenly, "but I have done nothing to warrant this." "I said step out of the damn car," Tanner barked, his voice cracking with adrenaline. Slowly, Arthur opened the door and stepped out into the night. Image prompt, nighttime highway shoulder, coastal Virginia. Commander Arthur Pendleton, a tall 6'3", athletic black man, late 30s, short military haircut, calm composed expression, wearing an immaculate white Navy dress uniform with gold trident and ribbons, stands beside his open charcoal gray SUV, hands raised, palms visible. Facing him, Officer Gregory. Tanner, white male, late 30s, stocky build, thinning hairline, aggressive expression, dark Navy police uniform, tactical vest, hand resting on holster, shines a flashlight toward Arthur. Nearby, young Officer Liam Fitzpatrick, white male, mid-20s, lean build, short brown hair, nervous expression. Standard police uniform, stands hesitantly by the patrol car. Red and blue lights reflect off wet asphalt. Tall pine trees loom in the dark background. Thick fog drifts across the road. Cinematic, moody, high tension. Even without his cover on, Arthur stood 6'3", broad-shouldered, a statue of bronze discipline. Tanner, 5'9" and thickening at the waist, felt instantly eclipsed. The feeling of losing control, though Arthur had done nothing but comply, sent a spike of panic through him. "Turn around." "Hands on the roof!" Tanner shouted, drawing his yellow taser and aiming it at the golden trident on Arthur's back. Fitzpatrick rushed forward, hands raised. "Greg, wait, he's complying. We have his ID." "Back off, Liam. He's non-compliant." Tanner's eyes were wide, unfocused. Arthur kept his hands raised, open at shoulder height. "Officer Tanner," he said, having read the name tag. "Look at my hands. They are empty. I am a commissioned officer. I am unarmed. You are pointing a weapon at me without cause. De-escalate this right now." It was the tone of command that broke something in Tanner. He was used to being feared. Arthur was not afraid of him. Arthur was looking at him the way a parent looks at a toddler mid-tantrum. "Don't tell me how to do my job," Tanner snarled. Hands on the car. "Spread your legs," Arthur said calmly, narrating his own movements, prioritizing survival over pride. He pivoted toward the SUV. As he moved, the hem of his jacket caught on his trousers, and his hand instinctively dropped a few inches to smooth it, a habit drilled into every sailor. "He's reaching!" Tanner screamed, though he knew Arthur carried no weapon. It was the magic phrase. The trigger clicked. Two metal prongs shot out on copper wire and slammed into Arthur's back, tearing through white fabric, piercing skin. 50,000 volts surged into his nervous system. His muscles seized with enough force to crack a molar. He crashed backward onto the gravel, his head striking the asphalt edge, his immaculate uniform instantly smeared with mud and blood. "Greg, what are you doing?" Fitzpatrick screamed. He wasn't reaching. He was fixing his coat. "Cuff him now!" Tanner roared and triggered a second 5-second cycle. Arthur convulsed on the ground, his teeth grinding until one cracked. Fitzpatrick shoved the taser aside and dropped to his knees. "Sir, I'm sorry, I have to cuff you. Please don't move." Arthur offered no resistance as cold steel bit into his wrists. He knew any resistance now would be answered with lead instead of copper. Tanner stood over him, chest heaving, triumph curdling into dawning terror as he looked down at the golden trident gleaming in the gravel. They dragged Arthur up, legs numb, uniform ruined, head bleeding, and shoved him into the plastic seat of the cruiser. As the door slammed, Arthur closed his eyes, took one slow breath, and opened them again. Calm, calculating, dangerously composed. Officer Tanner had no idea what he had just unleashed. The county precinct smelled of stale coffee and floor wax. When Tanner and Fitzpatrick marched Commander Pendleton through the back doors, the booking room went silent. His white uniform was filthy and streaked with blood, hands cuffed behind him, yet he walked with a spine of steel, chin high, looking less like a prisoner than a captured king. "Put him in holding cell 3, Tanner ordered, avoiding the stairs. Desk Sergeant Rayburn, a former Marine, recognized the uniform instantly and went pale. "Tanner, what did you do?" He resisted. They removed the cuffs inside the cell. Arthur didn't rub his wrists. He turned to face the bars. "I am entitled to one phone call," he said, his voice echoing through the quiet room. "By law and by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, I am an active duty officer being detained on highly questionable grounds." Tanner scoffed and walked off toward the break room. But Fitzpatrick lingered, guilt written across his young face. "Sir, I don't know what to say. I'm going to document everything exactly as it happened." The body camera was rolling. "Officer Fitzpatrick," Arthur said, "I appreciate that. But right now I need that phone call. If I am not at my command post by 600, or if I miss my check-in in the next 45 minutes, the Navy will start looking for me. You do not want them finding me like this." Fitzpatrick swallowed hard, grabbed the receiver, and passed it through the bars. Arthur dialed a secure line, not to a lawyer, not to his wife, but straight to the Security Operations Center at the Naval Amphibious Base. "Operations, Petty Officer Miller speaking." "Miller, this is Commander Pendleton. Authorization code Sierra Tango 907. A pause. "Commander, code verified. Your location is pinging off base. What is your status, sir?" "I am detained at the county precinct on Highway 17. I was subjected to an unlawful traffic stop, assaulted with a neuromuscular incapacitation device, and arrested without probable cause. I am requesting immediate extraction and JAG representation." The silence on the line turned electric. "Sir, you were tased?" "Affirmative." "Copy that, Commander. Hold tight. Waking the old man now. The cavalry is on the way." 10 miles away, a red light began flashing in the secure communications room at the base. Master Chief Petty Officer Jackson Cole, a 30-year Navy veteran built like a mountain, was jolted awake by his encrypted phone. He answered on the first ring. "Talk to me." "Master Chief, situation Alpha. Commander Pendleton has been detained by local police off Highway 17. He reports he was tased." Cole sat up, sleep replaced by cold fury. Pendleton was no ordinary officer. He had bled for his country in places that did not exist on any map, and some small town beat cop had tased him in his dress whites. "Wake the Vice Admiral," Cole ordered, already reaching for his boots. "Wake the Quick Reaction Force. Get the armored transports ready." "Master Chief, you want the courier for a local police station. I want 2 Bearcats, a full detail of military police, and the JAG duty officer. These local cowboys think they can assault a United States naval commander and lock him in a cage. They're about to learn what jurisdiction really means. Mobilize them now." Within 15 minutes, the base was fully awake. Vice Admiral James Whitmore, grey-haired and stern, stood in the command center studying Arthur's GPS data. "Vehicles are prepped, Admiral," Cole said, fully kitted in tactical gear. "We are ready to move on the precinct." "This is delicate," Whitmore said. "We cannot have a shootout with local law enforcement, but we will not allow one of our top commanders to be humiliated and unlawfully held by a rogue precinct." "Understood, sir. We overwhelm them with presence, not firepower. We walk in, we take our commander, and we leave. The lawyers can handle the rest tomorrow." Whitmore nodded slowly. "Go get our boy, Master Chief. Take complete control of that station." At the precinct, Tanner sat in the break room nursing bad coffee, trying to write a report that could justify tasing a compliant Navy SEAL. He did not hear the distant rumble of diesel engines. He had no idea that 3 massive armored vehicles were turning off the highway, headlights cutting through fog, rolling straight toward his quiet little station. The storm had arrived. The rumbling began as a low vibration in the floorboards of the county precinct. Desk Sergeant Rayburn, finishing a petty theft report, paused. His coffee rippled in its mug. It felt like a freight train running far too close to the building. He walked to the front lobby doors. Through the coastal fog rolling off Highway 17 came blinding beams of stark white and amber light. Not the frantic red and blue of local law enforcement, but the disciplined glow of military vehicles. 3 massive armored personnel carriers rolled into the parking lot, heavy tires crunching over gravel, coming to a synchronized halt that blocked every exit. Rayburn's breath caught. He had served overseas. He knew exactly what an overwhelming show of force looked like. The steel doors of the transport swung open, and 12 Navy military police operators poured out in full black tactical gear. They moved with silent, terrifying precision. No shouting, no running, just the efficiency of a unit operating as one lethal organism. They secured the perimeter, taking positions near every door and window. The main entrance doors were shoved open, hinges screaming against the cinder block walls. Master Chief Jackson Cole stepped into the fluorescent lobby, a towering, broad-shouldered man with eyes like flint. Beside him walked Lieutenant Commander Nathan Cross, the duty JAG officer, carrying a leather briefcase and a look of absolute authority. Rayburn instinctively stood at attention. "I am Master Chief Cole, United States Navy," Cole announced, his voice a deep baritone that filled the room. "And I am here for Commander Arthur Pendleton, the ranking officer in this facility." Hearing the commotion, Officer Tanner swaggered out of the break room, a half-eaten donut in hand. His smugness vanished the instant he saw the Master Chief and the armed operators outside the glass. "What the hell is this?" Tanner demanded, his hand drifting toward his belt. Cole's eyes locked onto him. He took 3 deliberate steps forward. "Move your hand away from your belt, officer. If you unholster that weapon in the presence of my detail, you will not live to regret it. Now, are you the individual who detained Commanderton?" Tanner's heart hammered. "This is local jurisdiction. You can't storm a police station. I arrested him for resisting and assaulting an officer. He's in my custody." "He is a Tier 1 asset of the United States Armed Forces," Cross interjected, opening his briefcase on the booking desk. "And you, officer, have committed a gross violation of federal law and an unlawful detention of a commissioned officer without probable cause." He was swerving, Tanner lied, his voice rising into panic. "I gave him a lawful order." Officer Fitzpatrick, sitting quietly in the corner, suddenly stood. His face was pale, his hands shaking, but his conscience had reached its limit. "He wasn't reaching, Greg," he said loudly, his voice cutting through the silence. Tanner spun around, eyes wide with betrayal. "Shut up, Liam. You're a rookie." "The body camera footage is already uploaded," Fitzpatrick continued, staring at Cole. The commander was completely compliant. He was smoothing his coat. Officer Tanner deployed his taser without provocation. 50,000 volts, 2 cycles. Cole's face hardened into pure fury. "You tased a compliant Navy SEAL commander in his dress whites," he said, his voice dripping with cold venom. "You fired a weapon into the back of a man who has done more for this country before breakfast than you will do in your entire miserable life." "I have union representation," Tanner stammered. "Your union," Cross said, pulling stamped documents from his briefcase, "has exactly 0 jurisdiction over a military tribunal." Rayburn grabbed his keys and sprinted toward holding cell 3. Cole, Cross, and Fitzpatrick followed. When Rayburn unlocked the heavy iron gate, it swung open with a metallic squeal. Commander Pendleton sat perfectly still on the metal bench. His white uniform was a horrific sight, smeared with mud, torn at the shoulder where the taser prongs had ripped through fabric, stained with dried blood. Yet his posture remained immaculate. Master Chief Cole snapped to attention and threw a razor-sharp salute. "Commander, apologies for the delay, sir." Arthur stood slowly, his right leg trembling from the residual shock, but he locked his knee and returned the salute. "Master Chief, good to see you." He looked past Cole to the JAG officer. "Lieutenant Commander Cross, I assume you have released paperwork signed by a federal judge. 10 minutes ago, sir. You're coming with us." Arthur stepped out of the cell and paused before Fitzpatrick, who stared at the floor in shame. "Officer Fitzpatrick," Arthur said softly. The young man looked up, expecting anger but found quiet respect instead. "Integrity is doing the right thing when it is terrifying to do so. Remember that." Fitzpatrick's eyes welled with tears. "Yes, sir." "I am so deeply sorry, Commander." Arthur walked back into the lobby. Tanner was backed against the wall, hyperventilating. Arthur stopped in the center of the room, looking at him not with anger but with disappointment, the way one looks at something dangerous and pathetic all at once. "I told you, Officer Tanner, I was unarmed, I was compliant. You let your fear and your ego override your training." "You're not above the law," Tanner spat weakly, shaking like a leaf. "No, he is not," Cross said, adjusting his glasses. "But you are about to find out exactly how far below the federal government you are." The doors swung open again, and in rushed Chief of Police Harry Wallace, older, out of breath, Ty Askew, having driven 80 miles an hour after a frantic call. He stopped dead, taking in the armed operators, the towering Master Chief, and a battered, decorated Navy commander standing in the middle of his station. His eyes landed on Tanner. "What in God's name is going on in my station?" "Your officer conducted an illegal traffic stop, assaulted a commissioned military officer without cause, and unlawfully detained him," Cross said. "We can handle this internally," Wallace said quickly. "An internal affairs investigation, immediately." "Chief Wallace," Cross said, a cold smile touching his lips, "you misunderstand the gravity of this situation. This is no longer a simple brutality case." He turned to Arthur. "Commander, do you still have the package?" Arthur reached into his torn breast pocket and pulled out a small, heavy titanium drive, no larger than a matchbox, its biometric scanner glowing with a faint red light. "What is that?" Wallace frowned. "A Level 7 encrypted Department of Defense storage drive," Cross explained, his voice dropping into a deadly register. "It contains real-time deployment schedules, satellite codes, and extraction coordinates for 3 active special mission units currently operating overseas." The color drained from Wallace's face. "Commander Pendleton is the designated secure courier for this intelligence," Cross continued, pacing like a shark. "When Officer Tanner unlawfully ordered him from his vehicle, deployed a weapon against him, and locked him in a civilian cell, he didn't just assault a man. He compromised the physical security of classified national defense intelligence." Tanner's knees buckled. "I didn't know." "Ignorance of the law is not a defense," Cole growled. "Ignorance of who you are dealing with is a fatal error." "You're bluffing," Tanner whispered, tears spilling over. "The FI and the Naval Criminal Investigative Service were notified the moment Commander Pendleton missed his secure check-in," Cross said, checking his watch. "In fact, Chief Wallace, look out your window." Through the fog, 2 black unmarked subs pulled into the lot behind the armored transports. Agents in dark suits stepped out, moving briskly toward the doors. Wallace realized in a single heartbeat that his precinct, his career, and his town were about to be swallowed whole. "Greg," Wallace said, his voice trembling with rage, "give me your badge, give me your gun. The Union can't save you from federal prison." With shaking hands, Tanner unclicked his duty belt. It hit the floor with a heavy, pathetic thud. The agents pushed through the doors, credentials flashing. "Special Agent Harmon." "Nice," the lead agent said. "Commander, are you secure?" "I am, Agent Harmon," Arthur replied calmly. "Take him," Harmon said, gesturing at Tanner. 2 agents grabbed him, spun him against the wall, and kicked his legs apart, the exact way he had once demanded of Arthur. Handcuffs clicked shut around his wrists. "Gregory Tanner, you are under arrest for the assault of a federal officer, unlawful detention, and gross negligence in the handling of classified national defense materials." As they walked him toward the exit, he passed directly in front of Arthur, weeping now, his bravado entirely gone. Arthur looked at him one last time, without gloating, without a smile. "You demanded respect tonight, Tanner. But respect is earned through discipline and honor. You have neither." The agents hauled him into the cold night. Master Chief Cole turned to Arthur. "Sir, the medical team is waiting in the transport." Arthur nodded, placing the titanium drive back into his pocket, and gave Fitzpatrick one final, quiet nod. "Let's go home, Master Chief." As the armored convoy pulled away, their lights cutting through the fog, they left behind a shattered precinct, a disgraced officer, and a lesson in what true power looks like when it finally acts. By 8 the following morning, the quiet coastal town was effectively under federal occupation. The story had not yet reached the national press, but within the tight, hyper-connected world of law enforcement and the Department of Defense, the shockwave was absolute. Highway 17 had been cordoned off by federal agents, meticulously photographing and documenting the exact spot where Commander Arthur Pendleton's blood and the copper taser prongs still lay in the gravel. At the county precinct, the doors were locked to the public. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, alongside the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division, seized every computer, every server, every physical file in the building. Chief Harry Wallace was forced to sit in his own conference room while federal auditors tore his department's history apart, uncovering a decade of suppressed complaints, excessive force violations, and quiet corruption. Word of the raid spread slowly through the small town, whispered over diner coffee and gas station counters long before any reporter arrived. Neighbors who had once waved to Officer Tanner on his morning patrol now crossed the street to avoid his old cruiser, still parked, abandoned, in the precinct lot. Nobody in town had ever heard of a Level 7 drive or an espionage act, but everyone understood one simple fact: their local police department had reached far above its weight, and it was about to be crushed under it. For Tanner himself, the days that followed his arrest unfolded like a slow-motion collapse. He had spent his entire career learning how to project authority, the swagger, the raised voice, the hand resting near the holster. None of it worked on federal agents who had already read his personnel file and knew his history of civilian complaints by heart. In the holding facility, stripped of his badge and his gun, he was simply another inmate in an orange jumpsuit, and for the first time in years, nobody was afraid of him. But the true battle was brewing 90 miles away, in a secure conference room at the federal courthouse in Alexandria, Virginia. Gregory Tanner had been denied bail. He sat in an orange federal jumpsuit, wrists shackled to a heavy oak table, looking small, pale, and terrified. Beside him sat Samuel Croft, a high-powered attorney funded by the state police union, known for pulling bad cops out of impossible situations. Across the table sat Lieutenant Commander Nathan Cross, representing the Navy's interests, and United States Attorney Diane Rollins, a woman with a legendary conviction record and zero tolerance for police misconduct. "This is a massive overreach, and you all know it," Croft argued, slamming a hand on the table. "My client made a mistake during a high-stress traffic stop. It's a civil rights issue at worst. The Espionage Act is a theatrical absurdity designed to intimidate a local officer." Rollins did not blink. She slowly opened a manila folder and extracted a single sheet of paper bearing the embossed seal of the Secretary of Defense. "Mr. Croft," she began, her voice a chilling monotone, "are you familiar with the legal definition of constructive compromise regarding national defense information?" Croft shifted in his seat. "I am aware of it, but my client didn't steal any drive. He didn't access any data. He tased a man who happened to have a storage device in his pocket." Cross leaned forward, the fluorescent light catching his wire-rimmed glasses. He spoke with the surgical precision of a prosecutor who had already won before entering the room. "It is not a storage device, Mr. Croft. It is a Level 7 biometric secure transport drive, and your client didn't just tase a man. He rendered the designated federal courier incapacitated on an unsecured public highway for exactly 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Cross slid 3 glossy photographs across the table. The first, a time-stamped still from Fitzpatrick's body camera, showed Arthur convulsing on the ground, completely vulnerable. The second, a satellite image of the highway, revealing a dense tree line less than 50 yards away, a prime location for an ambush. The third, a heavily redacted intelligence document. "During those 4 minutes," Cross continued, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "the operational security of 3 Tier 1 special mission units was compromised. If hostile foreign intelligence assets had been tracking Commander Pendleton, which is a daily threat we actively monitor, your client handed them a 4-minute window to execute the commander, take the drive, and compromise national security. That is the definition of gross negligence under the Espionage Act." Croft looked at the photographs, then at Tanner, who was openly hyperventilating. You can't prove there were foreign agents in those woods. We don't have to, Rollins countered smoothly. The statute only requires us to prove that his reckless actions created the vulnerability, which they did. Furthermore, we have the body camera footage of your client explicitly lying to create false probable cause. He's reaching. We all heard it. Croft tried one last desperate bluff. If you take this to trial, I will subpoena Commander Pendleton. I will put his entire service record on trial. The media will turn this into a circus, and the Navy hates bad press. A low, humorless chuckle echoed through the room. Vice Admiral James Whitmore, who had been standing quietly in the shadows near the door, stepped into the light. He wore his 4-star uniform, a towering figure of absolute authority. "Mr. Croft," Admiral Whitmore said, his voice rumbling like distant artillery. "Do you truly believe the United States Navy fears a public trial regarding one of its most decorated warfighters?" "Commander Pendleton has 2 silver stars. He pulled 3 wounded men from a burning helicopter under enemy fire. He's bulletproof. The public will build statues of him." Whitmore leaned across the table, bringing his face inches from the union lawyers. "If you fight this, we will not just bury your client. We will drag your entire police department, your union, and your state leadership into the sunlight. We will make Gregory Tanner the poster child for federal prosecution of corrupt police. We are offering him a plea deal today. He takes 20 years in a federal penitentiary, or we go to trial and us Attorney Rollins seeks the maximum under the Espionage Act, life without the possibility of parole." Tanner let out a choked, ragged sob, dropping his head onto the oak table, his chains rattling. The bravado was entirely gone. He was finally face to face with a power structure he could not bully, intimidate, or manipulate. Croft looked at his client, then at the US attorney, and finally at the Vice Admiral. Slowly, he closed his briefcase. "Give us the plea agreement," he whispered. Outside the courthouse, the fallout continued to spread. Chief Wallace, facing his own investigation for years of ignoring complaints against Tanner, resigned within the week under pressure from the town council. The department that had shielded a bully for so long finally began to unravel from the inside, case by case, complaint by complaint, each one dragged into the light by federal auditors who had no patience for excuses. Fitzpatrick, meanwhile, had made his decision the moment he stood up in that lobby and told the truth. He submitted his resignation the following morning, unable to remain in a department that had let a man like Tanner wear a badge for so long. It cost him friendships, it cost him his old sense of belonging, but it did not cost him his conscience. United States Attorney Rollins, impressed by the young officer's courage under pressure, personally recommended him for a position at the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Word came back within weeks. He had been accepted into the next class at the FBI Academy in Quantico. Arthur, for his part, spent 2 days under observation at the base medical facility, treated for the lacerations from the taser prongs and the concussion from striking his head on the asphalt. His doctors cleared him quickly. His body, trained for years to endure far worse, healed fast. What lingered longer was something quieter, not fear, but a clarified understanding of exactly what he represented every time he put on his uniform. Master Chief Cole visited him at the medical bay the morning after the operation, still in his tactical gear, his face unreadable as always. "You gave us quite a scare, Commander." "I gave Tanner the scare, Master Chief," Arthur replied, a faint, tired smile crossing his face. "I was simply an inconvenience." Cole allowed himself a rare grin. "An inconvenience with 2 silver stars. The whole base is talking about it, sir. Quietly, but they're talking." "Let them talk," Arthur said. "As long as it changes how the next commander gets treated on that highway, it was worth every volt." His wife, Denise, had been the first person allowed into the medical bay, arriving still in her pajamas beneath a coat thrown on in the dark. She said very little that first hour, only sat beside the bed and held his hand while the nurses changed the dressing on his shoulder. It was not until the second day, when the swelling had gone down and the color had returned to his face, that she finally spoke what had been sitting in her chest since the phone call woke her. "You didn't fight back at all," she said quietly. It was not quite a question, more a statement she needed to hear confirmed. "I couldn't," Arthur said. "Not without giving him a reason to use something worse than a taser." Denise nodded slowly, understanding settling over her like a weight she had carried before. In every deployment, every late-night phone call that never came, every uniform hung pressed and waiting in the closet. She squeezed his hand once, hard, and said nothing more about it. Some fears did not need to be spoken aloud between them. They only needed to be held. By the time Arthur returned to full duty 2 weeks later, the story of Highway 17 had become something close to legend within the walls of the base, retold in break rooms and mess halls, always ending the same way. The commander never raised his voice, and he still won. Younger sailors who had never met him began to recognize his face in the hallways, straightening a little when he passed, as though discipline itself had walked by. Former officer Gregory Tanner, stripped of his badge, his pension, and his freedom, was led out in handcuffs and leg irons by 2 US Marshals. He looked 10 years older. The judge had just accepted his guilty plea for assault on a federal officer and gross negligence in the handling of classified intelligence. The sentence was swift and brutal: 22 years at the United States Penitentiary in Leavenworth, a maximum security facility, no early release, no union appeals. The system he had abused for years had finally devoured him. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was solemn. Arthur Pendleton, fully recovered and dressed once again in his pristine white uniform, sat in the front row, the golden medals on his chest gleaming under the courtroom lights. He had not gloated during the sentencing. He had not shown anger. He had simply watched justice run its course with the quiet stoicism of a man who understood the weight of consequence. As Arthur walked out, flanked by Master Chief Cole and Lieutenant Commander Cross, a young man in a neat, well-tailored suit approached him nervously. It was Liam Fitzpatrick. "Commander Pendleton," he said, stepping forward, hands clasped. Arthur stopped, offering a firm, respectful nod. "Mr. Fitzpatrick, good to see you. I wanted to thank you, sir," Fitzpatrick said, his voice trembling with emotion, "and apologize again for my part in what happened that night. I should have intervened sooner. I should have stopped him before he pulled the trigger." Arthur studied the young man. He saw the guilt, but more importantly, he saw the integrity that had compelled Fitzpatrick to tell the truth when it would have been so much easier to lie and cover for his partner. "You stepped out of the darkness when it mattered, Liam," Arthur said, his tone softening. "You told the truth when a man with a gun and a badge told you to lie. That takes courage. Do not let one terrible night define your future." Fitzpatrick wiped a tear from his eye. "I won't, sir. Actually, the FI reached out to me. US Attorney Rollins recommended me. I'm starting at the academy in Quantico next month." A warm smile broke across Arthur's face. He extended his hand. "Then I expect you to be the kind of agent this country deserves. Congratulations." Fitzpatrick shook it vigorously. "I won't let you down, sir." Arthur turned and walked down the marble steps of the courthouse toward the waiting black SUV. The coastal breeze caught the edges of his white coat, the golden trident on his chest catching the late afternoon sun. Master Chief Cole opened the door for him. "Good day for the good guys, sir." "It's a day for accountability, Master Chief," Arthur replied, sliding into the back seat. "Let's get back to base. We have a briefing at 1800, and I do not intend to be late." As the SUV pulled away, leaving the media circus and the shattered remnants of Gregory Tanner's life behind, Arthur looked out the tinted window. He thought about the flashing lights in his rearview mirror 6 months earlier. He thought about the pain, the dirt, the indignity of the gravel shoulder. But he also thought about the unshakable foundation of the oath he had taken, an oath to protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Sometimes those enemies wore foreign uniforms, sometimes they wore local badges and hid behind a shield of unearned authority. Arthur Pendleton had proven that a uniform does not demand respect. It represents a commitment to earn it every single day. He had faced down the worst of domestic cowardice with the best of military discipline, and he had won without firing a single shot. The SUV merged onto Highway 17, the exact same stretch of road where the nightmare had begun. But this time there were no flashing red and blue lights. There was only the open road ahead, clear and unobstructed, leading back to the sea, back to his team, and back to the silent, unyielding watch he kept over the nation. The chain of command had not snapped that night. It had proven unbreakable. Power without discipline is nothing more than tyranny wearing a badge, and true strength was never in the volume of a raised voice, but in the quiet certainty of a man who never needed to raise his. Arthur Pendleton had stood on cold gravel, stripped of nothing but his uniform's cleanliness, and had walked away with everything that truly mattered still intact: his honor, his composure, and his unshakable belief in a justice that, however slowly, always arrived.